everybody, welcome to my vlog. My name is Maria at Mosaica Maria, and I'm in my kitchen, and I just thought I would catch up with everyone and say hello and happy spring forward day. I hope everyone remembered to turn their clocks forward. I never liked doing that. I've never liked daylight savings, but I have to admit I do like that extra hour of light we get at the end of the day. I like that, but I wish we could just get on a one time zone and keep it going, right? Okay, so that's where I'm at. I'm home for a couple of days from work because I just finished my schedule and I start again on Wednesday, so I have a few days to catch up and do some knitting and crocheting and meal prepping. So I have a dirty rice recipe with sausage and ground beef that is made by Ray Mac's Kitchen and Grill, which is a really great YouTube channel out here. I'm going to make that, and then I'll go ahead and show you the results if I can get my phone to focus in on the food. It looks really good. It's a pound of ground beef, a pound of sausage, 4 cups of cooked rice. I think I'm going to cut it down for me because I'm going to freeze some of it. 2 cans of chicken broth, a mixture of green and red bell pepper, 3/4 onion, celery, 1/4 of flour. I like the way he's doing this because he's making the roux right with, he's making the chicken soup right with the roux right with the meat instead of pouring condensed cream of mushroom and condensed cream of chicken and condensed cream of mushroom, which a lot of people do with the dirty rice. And I try to stay away from the really sodium-rich canned and very expensive canned. So if you got flour in your house and you got some chicken broth, you can go ahead and make your own cream of chicken or milk. And this doesn't call for milk, so it's just going to be a nice, and then your spices. He adds chili powder to his, I think, for a kick, and cayenne pepper. I might not do that. I don't know. I've got a upper respiratory thing going on again that I'm battling with, but I think it's mostly because I've been out in the cold. It's crazy. I think it was like 9 degrees last night, and I was working, and every time the door opened at work, I was like, freezing. And you're working so much that you're sweating, and then you're freezing, running around the store, then you're sweating and freezing constantly. And then it's going to be 63 next week. So we're getting to spring, I hope. All right. So I finished my hat that I took a picture of on Facebook and showed everybody while it was a work in process. And I'd have to say the close is very long. And if you have a smaller head like I do, I don't know if that means I have a smaller brain, but I've said this before in other videos. I have what hat makers call a Victorian size head. And I know a lot of people do. If you have high cheekbones, and then an indentation up here, your circumference of your head is going to be smaller. Mine's shrinking. Is gone from a 19.5 to a 19. So the pattern that I'm using is called Twisted Love Heart hat, I believe. And it's inspired by a Celtic heart that is interlaced. And the pattern comes from Kristen McDowell at Studio Knits. And there's a free version on her website that you just got to scroll down and get in between pictures and stuff. Really beautifully made. And then I've got her heart download book. She offers each thing on her website for pay, where you could get charts and it written really beautiful, ad free. But then she also does a tutorial, which is always nice for every aspect of her patterns that she puts out. So I made this about 3 years ago in ivory, in like an off-white cream kind of ivory, I guess, and yellow. I made it in green, and I've just made it several times now, and it's really just a fun project. And I don't consider myself an advanced knitter. It says intermediate, you're just going to be working with cables. The most important thing to remember is you're starting with a twisted rib brim, where you're knitting into the back of the stitch instead of knitting into the front. That's the twist. And then purling the next one. It's one by one. Knit into the back, purl, knit into the back, purl. Do that for 8 rows, and then you do your setup row. And your setup row is just basically increasing by 8 stitches all the way around. You'll end up with, it ends up with 128. You really stay at 128 all the way around until you get to like row, I want to say 50 something. But one thing I always forget when I'm making this hat, and it's really cool because you can see there's the cable twists here, the hearts here, cable twist here on each side of it, and then there's a twist that goes up the hearts in the middle. So when you get to the top of the heart, you'll be at like row 19 to 20, and you might think I'm doing it wrong, because up until then you've been pretty much knitting what you see and purling what you see. On the right row, you're making all your cables and it's making the shape. And then on the wrong row, or on the wrong side, you're knitting what you see. And when you get to like that 1920 or 2930 or 3940, 4950, it changes because you're beginning another interlock heart. So this twist starts to spread out and you kind of lose the curve of the hearts, and it starts going out. And I forget it every time, and I start ripping it out all the time when I get to like row 1920. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, don't do that. If you will be starting the repeat all over again, but you won't be doing, like, you'll be knitting purls and purling knits, which you haven't been doing for like 10, 11 rows. So you got to remember that. And then the other thing is I would make sure to use a cable that, I have to get that thread. Use a cable that, for me anyways, I find it easier to use a cable that is closer to the size of the actual knitting needle. So if you don't have double pointed needles, some of the things I've used in the past is, if you don't have a cable needle, if you don't have a cable needle, I've used paper clips, I've used bobby pins, I've used stitch markers, and I've also used crochet hooks where I just take it off and hold it to the back or the front and do your cable. That's pretty much it. It's just a whole lot of cabling. Only other thing I would say is, for my head, I didn't make this for me, so it's going to be big on me. If you do have a smaller head, or like for a teen or a child, you might want to stop at 40, around the 40-ish, so you only have 3, like you'll have 3 hearts. And start your decrease, because it's a long decrease. Like once you get past that 4th heart, it's long. If you don't mind wearing a slouchy, I'm going to try it on for you to show you what it looks like. You'll be fine. It's fine. But I don't like mine to be a slouch. I'm not really into slouchy right now. I'm kind of more into a beanie. So when I make mine, I stop right there at 3. And then I don't have this going on. But I mean, you could just tuck it in. It's fine. Or if it's too big for your head, you could bucket it and just play with it. I love to bucket the hats because it gives me a real down. I just think I'm a bucket hat kind of person. And you get a real Downton Abbey kind of feel. So you can like make it work. And then when I'm walking outside, I always want the back of my neck covered, so I pull this down a little bit, which is even a little bit more Downtonish. So that's kind of the era I think I should have been born in, but we get what we get. Okay, so this is the Twisted Love Heart hat. It's supposed to be done for Valentine's Day for the person I'm making it for, but I'm running behind on everything because I got sick. So, she is very happy to. And then I'll wash it again, of course, and block it. You don't have to block it, but I will dip this in some. What I use is like a clarifying shampoo that is very gentle, or like a baby shampoo, and I just dip it, and I don't wring it. I just squish till I get all the water out, and then just put it over something to dry or shape it out. You don't need to. It will shape naturally. Okay, so that's that. Got that done. And excuse my voice because it's going to be a little deep today from my cold. So what I want to talk about is Gene Hackman's death and his wife, Betsy Arakawa. I think I'm saying that right, but as it was said by the statement from the medical examiner and the press release, her legal name is Betsy Hackman. Some of the thoughts I had is if she died of, they're saying that she died around February 11th, but they had all this activity. It just really bothered me. I think the story bothers everybody because two people laying dead in their house, nobody's checking on them. It just doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. One dog is dead. The other two are roaming around. They're in good health. What? Okay. No security cameras. She's dead from February 11th. Supposedly Gene Hackman had advanced Alzheimer's to where she was the only caregiver, and they were very private, and they lived in a gated community, but they interviewed on the news friends of theirs that saw them like regularly, and Gene wasn't unable. They said he was fine, but that Betsy made sure he always had a mask on when he went out. She was into yoga. She made him do yoga to stay healthy. She contributed to him being 95 years old. She shopped at Whole Food Marketing, organic. She was a very healthy woman, 65 years old. And her own mother has Alzheimer's advanced and has a caretaker in Hawaii. So that doesn't register with me that she would be a 65-year-old woman being the only caretaker of Gene. If he had advanced Alzheimer's, why would she leave him home and do all this activity and go shopping and like several shops, markets, CVS, the vet, and leave him home alone? I don't believe Gene was advanced Alzheimer. And here's the thing about the Howitt. I can't say it right. You guys know I can't pronounce words good. Whatever it's called. It's a virus that comes from the air. It's aerated from the droplets of mice and rats, rodents. So it comes from their urine, their poop, their droppings, and if they're dead. So if a rat or a mouse dies, like say you have traps around your house and a mouse dies, and now you got to go pick up the mouse. Well, most people know to wear gloves and to wear a mask and to clean really good. People have been picking up mice and rats in traps and shooting them out wearing gloves and a mask and scrubbing the area. And they haven't been dying from this virus. And how could she be so sick that she died of it? She's found on the floor in the bathroom. And the space heater is down, like she fell, like it was a sudden death. The dog, they found out the dog in the crate was a Sheltie Shepherd, like a Sheltie mix, and had just been to the vet for a procedure which required the dog being in the crate. So they're now looking at the dog. But the other two dogs, they're saying, lived because there was a doggy door. So they were able to go out, come in. But when they found Gene, he was in the mud room, jacket on, dog leashes, sunglasses in his pocket, fully dressed with the door open. So here's what I've always thought. This don't make sense to me. Because if a body is laying dead, I know it's nasty to think about it, but if you're laying dead in your bathroom from February 11th to February 27th, and Gene dies sometime around February 17th, because that's what they have from his interpretation of his pacemaker, and her body is somewhat mummified, there would be mice that would come and feed on anything that's necrotic, that's dead. So I'm wondering if they didn't find that she had this virus after she died. Like, okay, there's evidence of this virus because her body was there for that long. Because they said the house was very well maintained. She was really health conscious, very clean. They didn't have a maid that we know of. They didn't have security cameras. They didn't have a caretaker. Nobody called for all this time. It's the saddest, most tragic thing to think you're just laying at home dead, and then another person dies, and they're fending. What? Gene was just getting himself dressed. He was hydrated. He hadn't eaten much, but he was well nutrition. And the other two dogs are okay. But she's dead of the virus. It doesn't make sense, other than it was mentioned that they're on a ranch and that they have horses, and they found entry in the area where she took care of the horses and cleaned the horses, and that the fleas from the horses could be in the air from the mice being around the horses in the barn, around the ranch. So I watched the press conference, and it really blew my mind, because I thought they were going to come back and say there was some kind of trauma found somewhere, or there was a heart event with Gene suddenly, but they said he had really bad heart condition. To me, I always thought, because her medicine was scattered, and it was thyroid medicine, and the only other prescription they found was blood pressure medicine that was Gene's, and then over-the-counter, like, pain reliever. I always thought, and just my theory, opinion, which means nothing but conspiracy theory, I always thought, if you got one partner downstairs in the mudroom off the kitchen, and he's dressed to go out, and the door is open, and then you've got the dead wife upstairs in the bathroom, that maybe she ran back to get her medicine and something happened to her. And then, I don't know, then Gene went to get help and fell. Because they're saying that Gene was probably alone for 7 days. And I think of anybody, I think of like, an uncle of mine had Alzheimer's, and when I think, he wasn't one to be wandering ever, but I think my aunt, like, she was the main caretaker, and she would never leave him alone. And I know so many people that live in this apartment complex that they haven't, the lady right below me, she takes care of her mother, and she's got a person that comes in to give her a little respite. It's just so scary, the thought that two people were that isolated, somebody that was that well known. I know there are theories out there that Hollywood whacked them, that for a while there were theories floating around that Gene was estranged from his grown children, who are the same age as his wife. So, but no, she actually brought them back together at one point and kind of tried to mend the fences with their relationship and prove, I'm not the reason your mother and father are split up. I met him when they were separated, and your father really feels bad about not being with you when you were younger because he was always on set, location, gone 3-4 months making movies. And so there was this little separation, where the kids felt like they were mostly raised by their mother. But then in adult years, Betsy brought them together. Now they still, because they were older and lived in different places, they didn't see each other all the time, but they certainly knew their dad is dad, and the kids knew their dad is grandpa. So I don't follow that theory that the kids did anything. But the health department deemed the house safe for the family to go into and workers to go into. But yet she died because they found other entry by the horses. I don't know. I think if you live in some place like New York City, like we have rats all around. It sounds terrible, but we have rats all around here. They're everywhere. Spring, we got mice. The lady downstairs got mice. I know I got mice. My cat keeps me away from them. He's gonna keep anything away, and you just have to be very vigilant about it. And it's so freaking rare. It's like 1 in 7 in thousands succumb to it. That I can't even say the name of the virus right. It didn't set well with me. Okay, so those are the things that I saw in the news that were weird. Other thing is, I did a marathon of Meghan. Meghan Markle. That's what I was calling her, Meghan Markle. But in her Netflix series, she lets everyone know, I am Sussex. I am now Sussex. Sussex. I am royal. Okay, so don't call me Markle anymore. She's telling a friend of hers. I found it hard to watch, and I'm not a hater of Meghan at all. I found it very frenzied and very fake. I didn't feel any authenticity in it. It felt like it felt like a DIY on steroids. And come into my kitchen, I'm going to show you a wonderful recipe, and I'm going to invite my special friend over, and I'm going to do all this marvelous stuff. And the friends are kind of like they don't even know what she's doing. They're kind of looking at her like she invites her makeup artist over, and he's just like blown away that she's doing all of this. Like, is this a Meghan he knows? Probably not. And then her next friend, and it just goes on and on, where she keeps having people over and then doing all these really extravagant cooking and baskets and going out to their own bees to get honey, and everything has honey in it. Honey, honey, honey. And there's a lot of weird, uncomfortable, awkward moments where it's kind of like, I remember when Martha Stewart first came out and she was like busy, like just follow me. She's not like that now. But in the beginning, way back in the day, people would be like, there was kind of a Martha Stewart feel to her, like, well, don't stop the process. I'm, and almost like they were in, it was part of the program that these people were invited in. And then I heard like there was an 80-member crew, and she's not working in her house. She's working somewhere, like, I don't know, a guest house or something. Like, she keeps making mention in every single one, this is not my house. I have to go to my house. And the whole thing is very strange. She makes her own Epsom salt for a guest that's going to sleep overnight. She takes pretzels out of store-bought pretzels and puts them into little plastic bags and ties little bows. It's just, it feels like a knockoff that went wrong. And so I really forced myself to watch, and I was getting, maybe I should have just watched one at a time, I don't know. it felt too much. Too much. That's my thing with that. I know these are the things people are talking about on the internet. Okay, Brian Kohburger and the 4 murders and the survivors. Okay. The house was known as a party house. They were college students. First year in college. What do kids do first year in college? Come on. They were partying. The police had to go there often, and there's nothing wrong with that. They were doing their thing. So it makes sense to me that the 2 survivors were texting back and forth. We now know that there's somebody in the house. Well, like who invited him? Like they thought their roommate was. Why are they out? Why are they wearing black? Okay, so the gal that is surviving, I won't mention any names. The gal that survived was texting back and forth with the male that survived, and they were like, "This is weird." They were mentioning that one of the victims was unconscious earlier, so already was passed out, as far as they knew. It seemed like they both had been drinking a lot or whatever, and they were ready to pass out and trying to figure out who's still here and why are they here. And what we didn't know is that she actually went into his room. So they get so freaked out with these text messages back and forth, somebody's walking around out there, that she goes into his room to sleep because they kind of have this plan, like maybe we should get together. And why she didn't call 911, why they didn't call 911 is because they just came off of a big party night and everybody is coming and going in their own schedules, and they really had no idea what the other 4 were doing. Even the fact that they were ordering a DoorDash at like 3, 4 in the morning. So, the whole thing is weird, but I think the weirdest thing is that the defense is trying to throw out the death penalty because Brian Kohburger tested on the spectrum, ASD of autistic, in jail. So, okay, so I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Like, okay, so you can't give him the death penalty because he's not aware of what he did? Because he's on the spectrum? So what does this mean now? People on the spectrum are going to go stab, mutilate 4 people? I don't even think it should be part of the, like, he doesn't understand that he's going to be in possibly a firing squad. It's going to kill him, which just happened to another man. This case is so weird. And these are like weird cases that have just been in the back of my mind for a while now, and I've been waiting to see what other YouTubers are saying, what comes out in the news and the investigation, and I really think their home was open to a lot of people, and I think it's going to get thrown out. I don't think Brian is going to get... I think he's going to get let out. I don't know why I have that gut feeling, but I do. They don't have a lot of physical evidence. He doesn't have a good alibi. Bushy eyebrows and being identified is not going to really cut it with a witness that was possibly a little bit inebriated. I just have this sick feeling he's gonna go out. They're not gonna have enough evidence to find him guilty. Okay, so that's one case. What else? I wrote down what I was going to talk about today. Okay, so Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy. Oh, Donald Trump and his address. I thought it was good. I thought, now I've been a Democrat in my life, and I'm independent now, and I've been a Republican. I've gone all more progressive, but moderately progressive. Let's see what's working. Let's not shake the boat too much. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not going to lean too far to the right or lean too far to the left. And I know that I don't want to be lukewarm either. or stagnant. So I want to see some change, but not crazy change. Okay, so I enjoyed Donald Trump talking because I think I fell asleep. I came home from work. I saw he was on TV, and I thought, why are you on TV? Because it wasn't the State of the Union. I didn't know he was going to be talking. I was like, whoa, because I was planning on watching a live video with a gal out there named Abigail that I've been kind of following for years, and I'm glad she's back live. And so I came home from work thinking I'm going to watch that, but it was on TV, and she moved her live up to Wednesday because of it. And so I started listening because I was like, what is all this? Everybody's walking in, everybody's clapping. It looks like a State of the Union. Everybody's there. Well, a lot of Democrats weren't. But I thought even if he went off prompt, he does better. He didn't go too far in the weeds weird. He actually seemed like he was conducting himself really well. And the Democrats seemed like they were out of control. So now I was looking at the Democrats acting up and doing all this stuff. And I'm not saying Al Green didn't have a right to protest. But it was constant disorder and liar and resist and this and that. People walking out and just stupid stuff. That I thought, oh, this reminds me of what I don't like about Meghan. What they were doing. So it seemed, to me, it doesn't seem like we're ever going to all just come together. And I didn't recognize, now they have choose your fighter or choose the fight or whatever. And the Dems have this weird commercial where people are like, oh, I'm here to fight. And they got angel wings and like, and they're doing all these action characters. Democrat, these people are getting paid by our tax dollars to do a job. And just settle down and okay, accept that it's Donald Trump. Get on board. Accept. Do your job. Stop resisting and being aggravated and tantruming. It's absurd to me. It's absurd. I've never seen grown people act the way they're acting. And about the time Donald Trump was introducing Corey's wife, Corey, who died when Donald Trump, who was killed in a horrible way. His head was blown off while he was protecting his daughters and his wife. And they, believe me, it looked like his daughters and his wife just didn't want to be in that kind of ruckus. They have been traumatized enough. And the dissent, they didn't want to be in that. The daughters were sweating. The wife, Corey's wife, just looked like, okay, when the president calls us, we're going to stand up, we're going to clap for the president, but we want to get out of here. It was uncomfortable for them. They had a little child there who survived brain cancer, who he was making a honorary something agent with the FBI. And I mean, everybody was clapping for him, and no, the Democrats are sitting like this. And booing, and just... So... Okay. What came first, the chicken or the egg? If all the chickens have bird flu, why are we still eating chicken? Okay, I'm gonna name Wegmans. Wegmans claims they have their own chickens that they raise that have their own eggs. Why are the prices up at Wegmans? I think there is price gouging going on. I'm rationing eggs. My Aldi's, they're up to $6.99 a carton. No, $7.99 a carton now. Yeah, I went last night. $7.99. Tops is $6.59. Wegmans, they have their Wegmans eggs, which are very small, uncaged, at $4.79. 10 is the limit. Every time I go there, the shelf is empty, and they don't bring any others out. Their other ones are $5.79, $6.99, and $10.99. So I'm waiting for the actual organic egglins to come in and get a half a dozen, because once you've had a really farm fresh egg, you just don't really want to go back. And I will spend the money for the few that I use. I just think eggs are off the list for right now, and that's okay with me. I find my protein with grains. I do lentils, I do farro, I do amaranth, I do couscous, I do bulgur wheat, and that's got a lot of protein. So, not worried about it. But today I am going to, make that sausage and beef thing, because I took out the sausage and beef to defrost, so I have to make it. I'm really excited. My kids have gifted me with a Ninja multi cooker. They gifted me with a slow cooker crock pot, but it a while ago now, and it has been used and it bit the dust and no longer cooks. It's too hot on the outside and cold on the inside, and I really think it has to do with the way my counter is. You can see probably I'm crooked in the video. I am on a slant on this counter, and I've tried to lift up my stuff on the left side so it's even. Still doesn't work. I've gone through tons of mixers and irons and anything I try to do here. So I'm just going to use a different plug and put it towards a straighter wall over there, and it will last. But I'm looking forward to having it. But I have to cook this today because I took it out to defrost it. But I would have liked to try the sear. It's going to be here tomorrow. It's got sear, so you can sear your meat and all your stuff in the same pot. You don't have to start on the stove, put it in the slow cooker. You can make pasta in it. You can make rice in it. You can make your grains in it. I can toss my chicken breast in there. I have questions about the chicken. I question chicken. Is it all wild chicken? Is it just caged chicken? Is it birds that fly in the air, wild birds? Okay, so I don't think it's all the bird flu right now. I don't. I think there's price gouging going on. What else? There was something else in the news. Oh, yeah. I missed, I think it was March 5th, was D.I.D, Dissociative Identity Disorder Awareness Day. And I'll tell you why I missed it and didn't make a video. I don't believe in it. Now, you're looking at a woman that was diagnosed with multiple personality disorder. No. At first it was just multiple personality. No. First it was just post-traumatic stress. Then it was multiple personality. Then it was multiple personality disorder, because I had a little meltdown suddenly. So, on display, I did something wrong. So now it's a disorder. See, as long as you're okay. So then I got really into the weeds in therapy a long time, examining all the aspects, personas, alters of me, having to give them time, space, name them, find out what their name is, if they already had a name, if they didn't have a name, what did I think their name was. You want to talk about a mind, bucks? I don't believe in multiple personality anymore, and I don't believe in D.I.D. I lived my life with over 100 alter aspects. Okay? My therapist probably knew about 35 of them regularly, daily. My family knew about maybe, I'd say 7 of them daily. And once I integrated, and my therapist had warned me of this, once you integrate, you're going to look back and you are going to say, no, I wasn't. And that didn't happen. It's like a reverse. First you're in this bubble saying, no, I didn't do it. No, I didn't. Another personality did it. Blah, blah, blah. Now you're integrated and you're really looking back on, that wasn't me, but it was you. So integration is 5 years strong now, almost 6. And sometimes I don't recognize me. I remember when my father was alive. He passed away 2 years ago in February. we were talking on the phone, and he said, "This is not my Maria. I know I'm talking to another person that was the same name as him." And he said, "Because my daughter doesn't curse." And I said, "Yes, I do. I curse just like you, just like all the men in the family, just like all the women do behind closed doors. I curse. And I own it." And he said, "Okay." I said, "So I'm still talking to Maria?" I said, "Yeah. I'm your daughter. I'm Maria." And that's kind of how it is. I had to get rid of the names and all the separation and own all the feelings. It's a lot. And it's difficult because there's parts of you you're ashamed of. There's parts of you you weren't being true to yourself or anyone else. And you got to own, oh, I really messed up there. Oh, look what I allowed myself to do. Look. I blamed it on a personality. I blamed it on a trauma. Okay. Again, really quickly, everyone has trauma. That doesn't mean you're going to get altered personalities or post-traumatic stress. I'm going to go over some of that later in another video, but I thought I would mention it. Some people have said, "Why didn't you do a video for mental health awareness or D.I.D. Awareness Day?" I think they should do away with it. It's nonsense. It is nonsense. And I know if you're living with that diagnosis right now, you want to throw daggers at me because you just are like, "You don't understand, blah, blah, blah." No. I do understand. But when you get to the other side of it, when you stop naming and blaming, because that can go all the way back to Adam and Eve, thinking about Gene Hackman in Postcards from the Edge, where he tells Meryl Streep, who plays Carrie Fisher, you can keep blaming all the way to the end of time. Every generation's going to keep blaming the next generation that went or the generation before. At some point, it stops. I stopped that 5 years, 7 now, 7 years. 7 years ago, yeah. I think I made that 15, 16, 17, 7 years ago. And I had some closure with my therapist. I went there and I said, "I think I'm integrating, He was very happy for me. And there were times I was really angry with him. I was like, "Why did you let this go on so long? Why didn't you just move me towards integration?" Well, that's what he was doing all the time. But I was resisting it. So once you own you, all of you, all the embarrassing aspects of you, you curse, you pass gas, you belch, you say stupid things, you dance weird, you don't always finish what you start, you don't always communicate well. You sometimes like to be a child and just sit and crayon and draw. You sometimes just want to curl up and stay in bed. That doesn't mean you're depressed. We need to stop labeling everything so severely that people are like alphabet soup now. You know, I go back to God, said there would be tribulation and trials. And God said, what you name, you create. Because we're born in the image of God, and God created us, and God created every single thing. But He gave that job to you, and God said, "It is good." Looked and said, "It's good." And then He gave Adam the job of give it a name for its first purpose. Like, okay, it's up there, sky. It's animals. What you believe and I believe is your reality. And that's why I don't trust people's truths. Because people's truth can get very twisted. In my next few videos this week, I'm going to talk about repressed memory. I'm going to talk about false memory and how a person can actually have something happen to them one time. And that's enough to believe it happened for years and more. And a person can have something happen to them and wrongly identify the person that did it. I'm going to talk about some cases that are out there. And I'm also going to talk about the trauma-informed approach to medical care and to everything, which is a problem. It's the abuse excuse, it's now the trauma excuse. When it's been studied for years that trauma causes a lot of things, but it doesn't stay forever. Once you work through that trauma, you should be able to move along. So once you yell and scream at your parents and tell them, oh, why'd you do that? Why didn't you do that? Why? I'm hurt. I don't trust you. You abandoned me. You rejected me. I can't trust you. Once you get through all that, or whoever hurt you, you might never get an apology from whoever hurt you. They might be dead. They might have come as close to the truth as they could to apologize. What are you going to do? Keep flipping between personalities? I'm telling you, it's as easy as losing the names. I promise you. If you stop saying, my alter so-and-so did that, and you start making I statements, you will become integrated. And you will realize it's all you. Okay, so I'm going to say, I do want your opinion. I'm going to try this recipe. And I'm going to let Ray Mac Kitchen Grill know how it turns out. I'm going to freeze some of it. I'm going to eat some of it, give some to my neighbor. I'm going to wonder for always what happened to Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy. I'm going to wonder who really killed 4 students in a house. Because I don't believe Brian did it alone. If he did it, I don't believe it's possible. And I'm always going to wonder now why, if the Democrats are just going to continue to fight Trump for the next 8 years, because his administration is going to be in there for 8 years, maybe longer. And it's just not productive. Can't move forward when you're having a tantrum all the time. So I hope everybody will take care of their mental health. I think less awareness of D.I.D. is better. Less is more. Quoting my cousin who told me one day, Maria, less is more with you. And I was really hurt. Excuse me, and he said, you're always more is more. More everything. Said, less is better for you. And it really is. So thank you for that opinion, counsel, advice. So, that's my video. I hope you will try this at Kristen McDowell Studio Knits and just make it a little smaller for you. And make sure you get gauged. Take care, everyone. That's my longer than life video, but I haven't done a video in a while. Happy New Year, Happy Valentine's Day, and all that good stuff. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you. Put your comments down below about D.I.D., about Gene Hackman, about your favorite recipe with dirt rice. Give it to me. I want to try it. I'm using basmati rice. We'll see how it turns out. And let me know what you think about the Kohburger case that's going on right now. And the whole autism being introduced. And the text messages. All right. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye-bye.